We're live, gentlemen.
We're live.
There we go. Found the middle of the camera.
There we go.
Did you secure your PS5 then? Have you spoken to Roy?
I have. It's secure.
It's secure. Very good.
Although I have got to drive up to the fictional land that you live in to come and collect it. But
the fictional land because geographically you're illiterate.
Look, I describe myself as geographically challenged. I stand by that statement. And it's a great open line to talk to people as well. And that's what's important.
Where are you from, Essex? Is that some part of Europe? Is that what you say?
I'm from Derby, you idiot. I've never moved city. I'm from the Midlands.
If someone in conversation said, I'm from Essex, I can just imagine you going, is that somewhere in Europe? Or
I'm like, well, it is somewhere in Europe, isn't it? Don't be stupid. But at the same time, at the same time, it's what, near London-ish? It'll do.
Yeah, true.
So you've got your PS5 pre-ordered, Wayne. What about you, Gareth? Are you going to bother or?
I've been humming and ahhing all day. I was very tempted to say, you know what, I'm going to go for it. But a lot of the places that are open to pre-orders are asking for a 50 quid deposit. And at the moment, money's a bit scarce. So it's just, do I need to do it? I could do it if I wanted to, but I'm trying to be good with money at the moment. So it's kind of swaying me away from getting it. So.
You did swing on what, VR, Mortal Kombat 2 Arcade 1-Up?
I did a lot too soon, didn't I?
You did a fair bit of splurging. I think you could get good at Mortal Kombat and make use of that for a bit. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
You'll get 50 quid.
It's all good.
You'll not miss it.
Have you been on Mortal Kombat today or?
In all honesty, right, other than the game room tour, I've not really been on it very much, but it's very much back to normal for me and Wayne. The thing with September, obviously it's the new normal in schools, but me and Wayne are back to work, and it is, I'm sure Wayne will agree, it's just very much like full steam ahead at the moment. So I don't really get much time.
Yeah, literally started, a fortnight ago. I've done like one rotation through like a 2-week timetable. Literally day one started, and I've just straight into that. I think the most gaming I've managed to get done, I started playing Dragon Quest XI about 4 days ago, and I've put in a whopping like 3.5 hours, which for me is normally like half of one sitting for like a good RPG play. So rectify that this weekend, but for now at least.
It's just a busy time of year. How about you, Adam? Have you pre-ordered the PS5 or are you tempted?
To be honest, mate, I've been thinking a long time, even to get it off like Very or something like that, and you just got a year to pay it off. But it's probably the only way I could afford to do it at the minute. But there's nothing what's took my fancy game-wise. You know what I mean?
I mean, what day one's like? Sackboy: A Big Adventure, Demon Souls Remastered. Is that day one? I know Spider-Man Miles Morales, and I think the other one's like Destruction All-Stars or something, which looks like a PlayStation All-Stars sequel. I don't really know. I've not looked into it enough. I thought those were the 4 launch day games. I could be wrong. We're a bit off.
The thing is, I've got literally 100 physical PS4 games, and I've probably completed 10 of them.
Play more games.
Really, I've got a shitload to get through, so I'm happy with the Pro for now. I'm not really bothered.
Yeah, well, me too. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd like to have that feeling of getting it on the midnight launch. Like, there's nothing like getting something when it launches. But at the moment, is that worth getting into the minuses? I don't think it is. So for me, I'm happy to wait. But it won't be long until I get it anyway, because there's games like Horizon Zero Dawn that even Lucy said, if you don't buy it, I'm going to buy it. So I think before Easter at least, I'll have it anyway. So it won't be long. It'll be a couple of months. So.
I mean, mine's already paid for, or else I wouldn't be looking at it right now. That's the honest
truth. He's bragging again. It's been paid
There's
for.
There's no bragging.
Like 2 months.
Did you get the full-on disc drive version?
As if I'd buy the digital version. What would be the point?
Exactly.
Utterly stupid.
But if you're a collector, you're gonna get that.
Yeah, and it's like, even if you take out the collector's side of things, if I'm thinking like back when I was a kid, I was like 13, 14, like the PS2 is kind of my go-to. If I bought a game, and I hated it. I sold it that week because I knew that its value just dropped like a car leaving a car lot. It just plummets and depreciates.
Yeah.
So you've got to be in that like rhythm of buy a game, like it or don't like it, move it on as quickly as humanly possible. That still applies. It doesn't go away over time, that method. So the moment you make it digital only, well, I put all the money in that I saved up, but I hate it. Oh, well, I'm stuck with it now. Great.
That is it £100 price difference between the digital and the disc drive?
Yeah,
£90. Yeah.
That is a lot.
It's interesting what Sony are doing. Sony are making some preemptive moves at the moment on the market. So basically, obviously, it's cheaper to go digital only, but they're putting up the price of the physical games so that you'll be more enticed to get the digital version. So whereas before we're like 50 quid for a digital game, I'm not paying that when you can get the game for like 45 retail. They've put the price up now. They've inflated it so much that the digital only price is actually quite enticing.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they're doing. They're trying to entice people away from the physical and more into the digital. So
that can be like future progression type of thing.
I think so, yeah. This is the first time we've seen a generation where it's been right. Fair enough, we're not forcing it on you, but you're going to save a significant amount of money by going digital. And that, for me, shows that they really want to push the market towards digital only.
That digital physical game thing, it won't hold.
If you look at Game Pass and stuff like that, it's going to that kind of streaming platform anyway, where you'll rather pay for it and download the game or you'll stream it. And that is the future, unfortunately. And collecting games will probably be a thing of the past eventually. But it's very sad to hear that because that's going to impact the stores. You know, all these retro game shops will almost be a thing of the past eventually because they won't be able to survive.
I mean, to be fair, everything becomes a thing of the past eventually. You can't really hold on to anything outside of the now.
That's true.
Do you reckon when that time comes and everything does go digital, do you reckon all the games, you know, like you collected over the years, do you reckon the price will sky high or they'll just plummet down?
I think it'll go sky high.
I think it'll plummet, and there's a reason for it plummeting. Think about it. By the time you get to that stage, most of the people who collect games physically have stopped playing games or have sort of passed on and died, haven't they? Because when there's a market for it, they'll give it you. When the market for it ceases to exist, they stop delivering it. So we'll be some of like the only dinosaurs who still want a physical game when everyone else has moved on. So at that point, physical game collecting, it's not going to hold its value in the long run. I mean, lockdowns kind of skewed prices weirdly, but things were starting to take a bit of a downturn before, you know, C19 reared its ugly head anyway. I would at least say, like, certain titles and certain systems seem to be sort of beginning to lower a bit. But then, I don't know, lots of people seem to be selling up and getting rid of systems or focusing down, and it lowers prices, doesn't it? There's more supply.
So what is your actual thoughts on this then?
I want to buy it, but I'm skinned.
Still got the originals, don't see the point.
Well, it does say on the back of here, though, featuring updated HD graphics. But is it, though?
I've been told it's an emulator.
That's what it is.
I've been told it's just emulation.
It is emulation, but I can't see how it can be full HD
well, graphically, then, unless they actually remade it or remastered it, they can't really physically do anything with the textures anyway.
I mean, yeah, my guess is because, especially like Mario 64 is basically polygon based, it's just the same game out. So it's like taking a video raw and then just instead of doing like a normal standard definition export, just doing an HD export. Like, it wouldn't add much if the source isn't that sort of high end in the first place.
No.
There you go, Rostendo. I haven't seen you for years.
Hey Raz, how you been, pal? I know it was Arcade Club, wasn't it? I think last time, and I have been a bit slow on videos lately. Although the thing earlier about starting up in the schools again and being a bit distracted with classwork, that's my main argument for not being about.
Saying that, I'm due to go to Arcade Club in November. Again, I've been asked to go in the limo again.
Nice.
You going up to Arcade Club again?
And November the 7th.
I need to go again. I do miss Arcade Club. It was amazing. And then,
obviously,
everything's kind of kicked off, hasn't it? It's just, proper ruin things. Do you want this, matey? Go on. There you go. You want to not ruin...
Questions, Raz or Paul? My mate Paul.
There you go.
That's what I mean. Like, I've never played Galaxy on the Wii, even though I've had it for years.
Neither have I, Adam. I've owned it for a few years.
Mario Sunshine, I've had for years. I've probably played the demo, like the demo play. That's about it.
I mean, I'll be honest, and this is probably an opinion that will get people to shoot me in the head, so I'll accept the bullet anyway. Sonic Forces that came out on Switch, I finished. I put like a good 20 hours into that. I loved it. By comparison, I don't think I'd ever play 3D All-Stars, and that's just I just prefer Sonic games. I don't know. I think there's a lot of misses. I think everyone can kind of accept that, like a lot of misses. But I still think the best Sonic games are better than any Mario game I've ever played.
What's your thoughts on this month's PS Plus games then?
Street Fighter 5's on it, isn't it? That's reminded me to go and add it. I don't know. I've been holding back so long on Street Fighter 5 just because, it wasn't a finished game on launch. The character roster was limited. So many things. Like, my main on Street Fighter has always been Sagat. Sagat only got added in the third season of DLC. I mean, he literally is in the original Street Fighter game on the PC Engine. He's literally from the very, very first game. And yet, he wasn't even including Street Fighter 5 until 3 years of DLC in. So, having it for free, I'll play it a bit, and then I'll decide if I want to buy the season passes and kind of expand, or I may just wait for an Ultimate Edition on disc and grab that.
I'm still holding out to buy that Dragon Ball game,
Mate, that was the cheapest. So good. You need to get it.
I will.
Well, that was digital, to be fair. Get it physically. You'll love it. Well, you played it a bit. I mean, Street Fighter 5 isn't going to play as well as that. It's just...
I did really enjoy that game. I know,
so easy to pick up with. Literally, you've not played it before. You've been in the room with it for 30 seconds. Here you go. Just go for it on the controller. Controls.
This is fun.
You can feel it, can't you? It just works.
That's good. I think me and Gareth were enjoying it, actually, weren't we?
Yeah.
I mean, Gareth seems to think I'm on commission for it. If I was on commission for it, I'd be loaded.
You are on commission. You must be on commission. Jesus Christ.
A man can just love a game and want other people to play it, so he has other opponents. That could be his real reason behind it.
Have any of you got any?
The same.
Have you got any recent pickups or out?
I've got a stack of them ready to go for a recording. That's why I said I need to record, to be honest. Yeah. But I've got some pretty interesting goodies, to be honest. I'll spoil one of them if this little guy gets off my legs at any point. You gonna move, mate? Do you even care that we're doing a stream here? No.
What are you currently playing at the minute, then?
Okay, I'm not moving. As I was saying, at the minute, I just started playing Dragon Quest XI, so work's been a bit draining at the minute, trying to get ahead with the sort of first few weeks into a new post. So about 3 hours into that, and that's about it, which is actually a really good-looking game as things go. Definitely sort of pushes the envelope a bit in terms of what you can kind of get graphically from that sort of really large-scale kind of world.
I haven't really been sunk into any game, to be honest. I've just been picking up and playing, just pick up and play games.
Yeah.
I've still got Final Fantasy to start, Death Stranding to start. I've got that many good titles. I just haven't started at all.
You need to get yourself into a 7 Remake. Such a good game. I mean, first playthrough, if you just go through it, I think it was a 20-hour experience, maybe a bit longer if I'm being fair, probably about 20, 25.
Yeah.
Now you move. There we go. Let me get in.
I do have some cards which I'm selling on eBay at the minute.
You're saying, how is the Pokemon card business going? You've been hawking your wares. Oh, you've got your plastic cases out now. You're going official with how you sell things.
This is a miscut, can you tell?
So what?
See, one side it's cut shorter than the other side.
Oh, yeah.
And it's on eBay now, and I got a cheeky comment saying, "You do know they're worth fucking less than fucking normal ones." I went, and the point is what?
Just send a message back What do you not want to pay full price?
There's still 10 fucking grand there though.
There's probably a few quid here. Like,
probably a bit of hyperbole there, guys, but okay.
You know what I mean? Like, these are all going on eBay shortly.
Yeah, hawk them off. If you've got no value in keeping them.
I remember that. That's a reeling. Some money worth here, like.
I know, like, I remember selling mine, like, I think it was like 2012, 2013 or something. It was years ago. And it was just to buy Suikoden 2. And I was like, yeah, happy as day with that. Because there's no way I was buying Suikoden 2 without, like, a cash injection. That game is just so bloody expensive on PS1. I mean, when I bought it, it was typically going for, like, 120, 130 quid. I got it for 80 because someone listed it. And this is the best way to have ever bought a PS1 game. Broken case, so I've knocked the value down. It's like, well, that's going to be a really expensive repair. £1 buy for a case, new case switch over. Oh, look, it's good as new. What a shark.
80 quid.
You know what? If they're going to knock off like 40, 50 quid, like 40, 50 quid off of it, just to sell it because it's got a broken case, let them. I'm happy to take the game and switch over the case myself.
Then I took this to CX. And they wouldn't,
Crash 2.
And they wouldn't take it because I had a crack in the case.
CX are ridiculous these days. I mean, I remember the last time I took PS1 games in, and this was maybe like a couple of years ago now, and they were being funny about the cases, and they were like, oh, you know, this one's got like a slight chip and it's like cracking. I went, they're PS1 cases. Like, you've got to be realistic. Like, they're not just going to be fine. Like, they're notorious. And they went, well, we can't take them. And I went, well, what do you expect me to do? And they're, at the time, because obviously they changed policy since, they went, we'll switch them over. And I watched a guy just struggling to pop it open. I was like, mate, do you just want some help on it? And he ended up like splitting the disc tray, like cleaning two. And I was like, you've got to put like a pin against, you know how there's like the 4 prongs in like the disc.
You've got to kind of lift it.
Yeah, I was like, you've got to pop something in each of those so that it raises out gently without breaking anything. That's what you need to do. And the guy was just getting like red in the face, annoyed. And it was like, just I'm being as polite as humanly possible and asking you not to break the game, but you just can't help some people.
We broke it.
I can't remember what I traded in. It's just some rubbish, really.
So have you not been buying anything else, Gareth? Like records or no?
I've been pretty good. I bought some figures from a friend. Well, I say a friend, it's a friend of Lucy's. I bought some Resident Evil 2 figures that I got cheap.
Right.
So I got Hunk and I got... Do you know the dogs from Resident Evil 2? I got one of those dogs, then I got Hunk for 10 quid. So, decent price. But I think that's pretty much it, to be honest.
Right. Well, I've spent a fortune.
Adam, what have you done? Other than the 50 quid you spent on Mario are you actually going to play them? Have you at least broken the seal so far?
Not yet. What do you reckon of these?
Nice.
Oh, God. What have you spent? Let's guess. I'm going to guess 80.
Maybe 90.
Hey, that's not too bad on my part. I'm proud of myself.
See, they are nice.
Ollie, do you want to chew those up, matey? Look at these shoes, Ollie. Look at them.
Yeah.
They're good to chew.
They're getting added to the fucking ever-growing collection.
Ollie, do you want to chew those shoes? Hey, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? Lots of shoes to chew up.
How many pairs you got now, then?
Ooh. Look, you're gagging for one of those shoes to give it a little nibble to, aren't you? Look at that tongue. You could really go through that.
Do you want to bite it?
Hey? Well, you can't actually bite through the screen, mate. It's okay. It's okay.
The weirdest pair is these, which is probably not everyone's cup of tea, but for 45 quid, they are.
Hey, they're all right.
Frankfurt, but they are Velcro. They're saying that the originals were Velcro. So
those are going to be like your session shoes. If you know you're going like a proper night out, those are I'm too done for. When I get home, like if you've been in a night out and you've worn like Converse or something, I'm just going to sleep in my shoes. I can't be asked to take the things off.
So that was a few quid spent actually, but I need to calm down.
Am I allowed to go get something, eh?
How many pairs you got now, Adam?
Bloody hell.
Give or take.
Maybe 80, 90.
Oh, Jesus.
Maybe.
But you got 80 or 90 pairs of shoes?
I'd say.
You're worse than any woman I can imagine. Jesus Christ, Adam. I think I have got like 5 pairs of shoes to my name, and I genuinely feel less of a man because of it. There was a time when I had 2 pairs of shoes to my name, and that was it. And I was like, that's doing it properly. That's how I should be doing it. I'm a changed man these days. Multiple pairs of shoes. Sometimes I go out, I come back in, I just change my shoes for the sake of it. And I just feel so indulgent. I don't know why I'm doing it, but
I don't know. I've collected all the rare ones for the past 10 years. So it is what it is.
So where's James?
I don't know.
Who? Jamais.
Jamais? Where's Jamais?
I mean, I don't know where Jamais is. I would imagine watching anime somewhere in the gym.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Wishing that he was drunk. He could be working, to be fair, but let's pretend otherwise.
Here's Addy Sneaker Freak. How are you doing?
Hey.
He did smell the Addy from a mile off, didn't he? We'll have to get on a stream, man, with Raz and that. Then...
Get to walk in your shoes.
Oh, definitely.
Put me to shame with my 5 pairs across all owners. Not a single pair of Adidas, which makes me feel much worse now. I'm a bit ashamed of myself.
Did you buy any of the Cologne or Frankfurt Sea? See. Make some good videos. Watch everyone. Aye, so what's the crack, lads? What are your plans for this year, gaming-wise? Are you have to buy now?
In honesty, now that PS5 is kind of on the horizon, it's the few games I've got currently for PS4, so there's like 10 or so kind of jutting out. I'm just going through them quickly to see, like, I'm basically doing like the half an hour test. So putting it in for half an hour. If I like it half an hour in and I've been amazed by it in some way, that's a game that I'm definitely going to come back and play. If not, I've just been moving them on. So it's just been kind of like getting the PS4 collection kind of at a point where I'm like, yeah, these are the games that I'll keep, I'm happy with. Just move the others on. That's pretty much the plan for the next month or two. What about you guys?
I don't know, to be fair. I'm not really buying any games. It's more like my trainers, really, which because there's quite a lot getting released at the minute. It's just ridiculous. It's hard to keep up. Obviously, the Shanghai's Steve's got, which I missed out. I never bothered, really, because it's just ridiculous. Paris, which is 50-50 for me personally, because of the soul. A lot of people had I don't know, a lot of people didn't like the soul on it, but for me, it's better. Everything's better in hand than pictures, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, that's true. Like, I don't like buying things online clothes-wise or anything for that reason, because when it arrives, there's nothing but disappointment, isn't there? You're just like, oh, come on.
I saw the Paris. Them Paris are comfy, really nice shoe. Everyone's into their own thing, you know what I mean? I'm into my record collecting, my shoes and my games. That's all I spend my money on, you know what I mean?
Like, I think if I'm being honest, I'll probably going to spend more money on anime and things for the rest of the year. So it'd probably be playing games rather than buying them for most of the year, to be honest. And then I'll buy some other stuff for my anime collection and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's nice sometimes to take a break from buying stuff, isn't it? Because it gives you that like month or two where you're like, actually, I am just going to sit down, finish some games, crack through. I mean, before starting back up at work, I must have like rinsed so many things. I think I went through like 5 or 6 Switch games back to back. I think I got like 3 or 4 platinum trophies on my PlayStation back to back. I was just absolutely hammering stuff. But then it was like the only time I ever had time off work all year. So it was like 4 weeks where I could just play games. And I was like, yeah, I'm just 100% diving in. So I've had some time this year.
Well, it's bad when you have a month where you don't buy anything and you realise that's a bit weird. You start to realise that actually it's become a bit of a habit. And like you say, it's quite good to have a couple of months off, isn't it?
You just buy for the sake of it, though, don't you?
That's what happens in the end. Yeah.
Just buy. It's nice. It is nice to get something through the post, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the problem. It is nice to get something through the post.
It's like a mini Christmas, and I do love those mini Christmases, especially when it's like, oh, what could be in this parcel? Oh, wait, it's something that I really wanted. How did I know? Oh, it's because I bought it for myself. Oh, yeah. It's always a good feeling.
I don't know what's getting released this year, to be honest. I don't even know what games are getting released. I don't know if Cyberpunk's getting released next year or this year.
I don't know. I don't think I've got anything that I'm like looking forward to Christmas buys wise. I mean, the PS5, like I said, is paid for. Yeah. So I'll play through Spider-Man Miles Morales. And then I know they're releasing a new Guilty Gear either at launch or very soon after. So I'll get that. But I can't think of anything else I'm really looking forward to on PS5 or anything. I need to have a fighting game. I've got to have my alternative to fighters, haven't I, Adam? Because what would I do without fighters?
But you was going to Arcade Club in November then, or because I'm stopping?
Well, we were meant to
if I've got the money,
and in November.
Oh yeah, isn't that for the same purpose? So we could do Arcade Club twice in a month. That'd be.
No, because that'd ruin the stag do. We've got to wait for the stag.
How would it?
Because it would ruin the stag do.
You wouldn't do it on the same day.
About a year to go to Arcade Club. I've been keeping it for the stag do. So.
I mean, I've been to both arcade clubs before, so I mean, if it was like a novelty experience because it's a new place, that's already lost.
Yeah, true.
But that Arcade Club is something else. Like they actually have a specific room in the corner for Fortnite players, and they're all like.
Oh yeah, is that the one in Bury?
Oh.
Yeah, I love it. It's just like if you want to go play Fortnite or any of that stuff, there's the room for you to go and hang your head in shame. The rest of us, let's go play some games. There we go.
They had FIFA 20 on the big old screen there, and I was sat on the couch. I thought, I'm going to have a bash on my own because all my mates just peed up and done what they wanted. So I thought, I'll sit down, have a bash, have a game of FIFA. And some chava come up to us and they went, all right, mate. He says, you fancy your ass kicking? I was like, aye, I'll have a game. He was like, where are you from, pal? I was like, I'm from Carlisle. And he's like, fucking hell, you didn't come with them lads from fucking in the limo, did you? I was like, aye. He's like, fucking hell, you lot of fucking Raj. He's like, you lot of Raj. And I was like, fucking hell, I see you've got your Manchesters on there. And I was like, aye. He said, I've got the Manchester ZX fucking whatever. And he just got cracking there. He was absolute top lad, like.
Can I get a translation for Raj?
Like crazy.
Nice. There we go.
Raj. Aye, but he was a good lad. And I even talked to him now. He had about 5 kids with him though.
Oh Jesus!
Again.
But then were they crap at FIFA as well?
No, they were playing on the next couch on like fucking Mario Kart or something.
Although you didn't say, did you actually beat the guy at FIFA or not?
Nah, he hammered me like 4-0.
Oh, you did get better. I noticed you left that part out of the story.
Aye. Oh well.
Oh.
Aye. Fucking, I'm happy Gareth Bale's signing. Even though you're not into your football, lads.
I'll be honest, it's not one for me, football. But then, I used to play staff football because I didn't really mind. Like, I don't mind doing sports. I just think like watching them and playing them just seems a bit. I don't really get why you would. If you're actually doing it, I'm like, yeah, kind of get that. Like I've done like the karate for like well over a decade, but I don't watch any of like martial arts fights or anything like for sport. Just I don't see the reason for it.
For me, I can get excited every once in a while, like
that's what. Oh yeah.
But I don't get people that watch it week in, week out. It's the same game, and they get just as excited. I don't understand that. I don't get it. It's just something I've never.
I'm more concerned, Gareth, that you only get excited every once in a while.
That might be true, actually. Playing Lucy for that.
So have you not spent time in your game room, Gareth, at all, really? Or do you not really have time to play in it, like?
Well, I filmed the game room tour. That took a week. And then I had to scrap it. And then I was pissed off and I shut the door and I've not been back in until tonight. So, yeah. It really pissed me off that last week, like beyond belief.
Was it something to do with your memory on your iPhone or something? It's fucking
basically, it was an over-ambitious plan. I recorded everything like 4K 60 frames, and it just bricked my phone, basically. It was just too much for my phone.
You ignored technical limitations and thought, I'm going to produce something feature-length on a phone.
Yeah. And it was about an hour and a half of footage. So it just bricked my phone. It's as simple as that. And I couldn't upload it to iCloud. There were no other options. I was hoping there were a technical way of getting around it, but in the end, it was just a fucking week of my life that I will never get back. So,
I have so many things I can say that about, Gareth. Don't you worry about it. We've all got those weeks in life we can't get back.
Jesus. But I'm going to reshoot it in October for half term, so I'll get back to it, but for now, no.
Well, that was the limo.
Cool. Nice.
That was Arcade Club. That was the fucking belter that night.
How much did the limo cost you then? Were it expensive or?
It was about 60 quid each, yeah.
Yeah.
How many of you was there in total?
There was 8 of us. So it was about 500 quid or something.
Jesus.
But seeing the guy, he was like a Pakistani or an Indian or something to me. He was like, one of the lads went, do you want the postcode, pal? And he went, no, I want cash. He's like, fucking hell.
I respect that, man.
What about, does he? I want cash.
If they're 500 quid, how the bloody hell do all these like 16-year-olds afford them for prom nights? Yeah, well, I love Mummy and Daddy.
That was good.
I remember at my prom, it was like we had to walk up because we couldn't afford like a car or a limo or anything, and we were like, "Oh, we're just going to make up a story about how we got there," and then everybody was walking up, ruined it.
Them pinball machines are quality, like.
Oh, nice.
Absolutely mint, like.
I can't wait.
That was the first time that you've been, wasn't it?
It was the first time.
So what just think? Were you quite impressed with it?
We were only there 4 hours. We had to leave because to come back. But I think next time we're going to stop over. We've got like a full day.
You're better off.
Right.
Yeah, because I remember when there was like the big meetup, and it was like last year's February. And it was like, sorry, I'll give you that back, Ollie. Yeah, so it was like we went up there, and it was Friday night, which was like drinks and play games until like midnight until the place closed. And then I went back the next day and I had to get back for a party, which actually is when I got a speeding ticket on the way home. It's a bit bad. But 2 days and I still didn't feel like I played enough. I mean, there were some games that I just stayed on for like 45, 50 minutes. And I was like, Jesus Christ, like I'm getting into it, but I really need to get like around a bit more and try some other stuff out.
I think because I've got that many shoes, I could maybe do a big old collection video of every shoe I own. You think that's something you'd watch?
It's not something I'd watch because I'm not that into shoe collecting, but I think do it. Like, people like shoes. You've got a passion about it. Have the conversation. Showcase some bits.
Yeah.
Get out your Lazy Susan. Pop a shoe or two on. Get those bad boy rolls going. Show them off. And if you don't have a Lazy Susan, then just a bit of still photography on a neutral background. You'll be fine.
I fancy going to Laces Out in Liverpool one time.
See, I don't know. Like, I've tried to do like collection videos in the past, and they don't seem to go down very well when I just kind of sit there and talk about our collections for anything. But that just seems to be, I don't know. Maybe it's because my monotone voice kind of just puts people off after about 10 minutes. We'll have to see. Because I did promise that I'd do a PS1 collection video for Stu, and I've not done that, which I've been busy is my answer. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see how the next collection video goes.
That's what I mean. I've still got a hell of a lot of games to show. I don't even play any PS1 or PS2 stuff.
Oh, that's criminal. Like, I think my most go-to like retro console is my PS1, and it's just, I just love PS1 so much. It's still like the best era of gaming for me. Like, if I'm going to go to anything old, it's always going to be that.
I think
it was the golden era. That's why.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think that was just like, it was just the right kind of games came out on the PS1. Like, I remember when the PS2 was out, and I was like 3-4 years into that console, and I was still buying PS1 games and playing them instead. I mean, obviously backwards compatibility, thanks for that, but there was just no need for me to be playing PS2 stuff, because I was like, I'm not done with the PS1. And even now, there's probably about 15, 20 games I've got on the PS1 that I've not been able to like put more than about 20 minutes into, and I'm like, I really want to actually sit down and get into this.
So how many games do you actually own on the PS1? Roughly.
Yeah, so many good. Oh, well, how many games do I have for it?
Like roughly,
I think it's about 100. I think, more or less. I don't know. I'm literally taking a stab in the dark. It's like,
it's quite a lot.
One of those wider IKEA bookcases, and I've got 2 full shelves full of just normal PS1 games, and then I've got a shelf full of American PS1 games as well. So, good 3 shelves worth.
So what's your most expensive one then?
Pardon?
What's your most expensive one?
I think I did it in the previous stream, actually. It's like, I think it's Ark the Lad collection on PS1. It's like one of those, in America, like those working design sets. So they're like in big like foil covers boxes.
All right.
I think that one's quite expensive. That or Suikoden 2. Suikoden 2 is just worth a ridiculous amount for no reason that I can understand other than low print run. But
you've got a few, Gareth, as well, haven't
you? Possibly about 200 games, maybe. So yeah, there's quite a lot. But I absolutely love the PS1. For me, it's the PS1 and Dreamcast. They're my favorite consoles. So
have you got any like sought after ones, like, or mostly like?
Not really. Not like Castlevania or Ark the Lad or anything like that. My most expensive games are probably worth about £50 each, maybe something like that. So
like Silent Hill or something.
Well, that's gone up in value. When I first bought that, it were about £20. I think it's about 30 to 40 now, isn't it? Depending on condition. Yeah. But I think that'll keep going up and up and up, because it's not rare, but it's not quite common either, and it's quite sought after. So
it's just desirable, isn't it? And anyone who desires something's willing to pay a bit more. Simple like, rules, supply and demand.
Castlevania Chronicles, that's gone up to like at least 110 quid now.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah.
Just don't look at Symphony of the Night. That's insane. That's not a game I'm touching. Although it's like 300 quid or something stupid. I think there's some like swing in the price at that high, but I think CEX price has got it around there. It's just ridiculous, like value on something. But there's like a PS4 collection with like that and Rondo of Blood. Is it Rondo of Blood? I don't know. But I've been playing. It's the one that's on PC Engine. Everyone goes on about is really good. I'm fairly certain it's Rondo of Blood. I've probably tanked about 10 hours into it, and I think I've done about 3 bosses, and it is so hard but so much fun. Like just doing the same level about 40 times so you can finally get through. I'll admit I don't have any talent for Castlevania, but it's enjoyable. I don't know. I was going to play one then the next, and I've not moved on to Symphony of the Night yet.
Absolutely love Mega Man. It's rock hard, man.
Mega Man so much. Like, in fact, one of the pickups I've got is the ZX the Zero and ZX collections that's been released on Switch and PS4. I got the Switch version.
So yeah, I actually got my Super Nintendo Mini hacked, and my mate put loads of games on, and it actually is unreal. Like Axley, Yogi Bear.
That was a weird place to go to. Like Mega Man, Axley, Yogi Bear. What? Is it good on the SNES, Yogi Bear? I've never heard of the Yogi Bear game or anyone talk about it.
Jungle Book, you've got Flintstones, you've got there's all sorts of good 2D platformers there.
It was a good era for it though, wasn't it? Like, I mean, just on the SNES alone, there's what? Mega Man X 1, 2, 3, Mega Man 7, just on the SNES. I only own the one that's actually affordable out of those. And then all the Capcom like licensed games, like Aladdin. And I will weigh in and say that I think the SNES version of Aladdin's amazing. I don't really like the Mega Drive version. I know that's a divisive topic among many people, but just don't care for the Mega Drive version at all.
But it's true though, isn't it? Because the SNES had a lot of better versions of games, didn't they? There were better ports on the SNES. And it's true. I mean, I'm not a massive fan of the SNES because for me, I kind of bypassed that. I was certainly the Mega Drive, but you can see that the better versions of games, the better ports were on the SNES, without a shadow of a doubt.
Although Aladdin is not a port, they're literally two different games made by two different studios.
Are they really? I know some of them are. Yeah.
So Aladdin's really weird in that sense, but I don't know. A lot of people say that the Mega Drive version is definitively better, but I played the Mega Drive version, didn't enjoy it. Finished the SNES version a few times because I don't know. You sit down with a few drinks and just really get into it. And then the Mega Drive one, I don't know. I just find it a bit clunky and I get a bit annoyed with it, and then I just turn it off and I'm done with it.
Tell you what, I did play at Arcade Club and it was absolutely fantastic. It's Asteroids.
Yeah.
You actually had the monitor like down and it was reflecting off a mirror, so it looked like real 3D. It just looked unreal.
Yeah.
What a hard game that like.
The thing they had at Arcade Club that I really wanted to play on, but it was always rammed whenever I went over to look at it. Darius Burst. They had like the most recent one, Chronicle Saviors, and it has like a really, really wide screen. Like it's just like stretched out like a panoramic kind of view thing. Like it's almost like three monitors stacked next to each other.
Yeah,
I really want to play that.
I played that at Bury. I played that.
To hell with you. I've got the console version on PS4. I love Darius.
Actually,
like, yeah. It's one of my long-standing favourite shooter series.
I think I played that with Dylan. It was Dylan Craven. I think I played that with.
I do like Dylan.
It was a good game. Yeah, good game.
I mean, I remember one of my earliest gaming memories is like playing a Darius 2 on my dad's Sega Saturn, and it was something I think like my gran had bought it for him, and I don't think he cared about it in the slightest. But I spent countless hours just endlessly rinsing. Probably, bearing in mind I'd have been about 4 or 5, probably just the first level a lot of times. In more recent years, I can get through a good chunk of the game, but no, I don't know. It's weird. Like all like the very sort of it's like a nautical animal kind of themes. It's like fish, squids, like all like mechanized. It's brilliant. I genuinely love the designs in it. I've always been a fan of Darius, but I think it is just like long-standing nostalgia. Because I mean, I like shmups, shooters, whatever anyone wants to call them. I'm crap at them. I love them, but at the same time, I've got like a handful that I like to go back to all the time, like Parodius, Darius games, and I just kind of leave it at that. I don't sort of.
The first shooter I ever played was R-Type on the Master System, and that was extremely difficult to play. Like so difficult to play.
Yeah, well, I've got a few R-Type games,
really, and visually quite pleasing as well. Quite a beautiful game to say we're on the Saturn.
I'll tell you what is a beautiful game, lads.
How is it then? Pro Skater 1 and 2. How well does it play?
I'm gonna do a Wayne and say I'm waiting for the price to drop.
Don't you call that being a Wayne? I mean, don't get me wrong, that is what I do all the time, but I don't think it should be called doing a Wayne. I think it should just be called being smart.
I actually really enjoy this.
Good stuff. How well does it play then?
Again, I'm going to wait till it goes to 20 quid.
It does play really well.
See, for me, it was like when I was younger, I played Pro Skater like 2 and 3, and they were all right. But when Tony Hawk's Underground came out, that was when I really got into Tony Hawk's. Like the earlier ones, I was all right with him, but I got a bit bored. Like I didn't really have a sense of direction, other than like, just do the challenges. I was like, okay, but there are other games that I want to play, so I'm just going to not do this. Especially when like you can just unlock everything with cheats. But then you get Underground, and there's like a full story to play through. Like you can build your skater up over time. You can kind of like develop him. Like there's a reason to kind of progress through the game. And Underground 1, 2, and then American Wasteland. I stand by those like the best things Tony Hawk's like ever did. And it was all downhill from there. Especially when they made Downhill Jam on the Wii. What was that?
Did you ever pick up this one?
Oh, the Wonder Boy remake. I've always been tempted, and I've just never pulled the trigger on it. I don't know why. There's no good reason for it.
Lucy's a big fan of Wonder Boy. We've got that on the PS4.
Actually, the soundtrack and everything, and like
that's cool. That's cool.
That is pretty cool.
Hearing and all sorts. Like,
I think we downloaded ours. I think we got on digital.
Well, I haven't actually played that yet, so I don't have a clue how it's played.
It's good. It is good.
I did pick this up. I know this is like kind of like a Red Alert Command and Conquer type of game.
Oh yeah.
Looks quite interesting, so
Okay.
So I like that. You like your Red
I
Alert?
used to find them interesting, but I weren't very good at those strategy games back in the day.
See, I really like those kind of RTS games. Like the original kind of RTS game, as everyone knows, Dune 2 Battle for Arrakis. Oh, I've spent so many hours on that on the Mega Drive. Like that was like a family tradition. So like when I was a kid, I know I've said like in the past, like my Uncle Mark used to live with us because he was like in a wheelchair, so he kind of lived with us anyway. Yeah, Ollie, listening to story time. So one of his games that he used to play was Dune 2, and it was just a case of like he'd pick a map and there's like the three houses, like Atreides, I think it's Hans, and I can't remember the other one. And I've read the novel, which is much worse. I should know these things. Is that Hanneken? Forget it. Move on. But like we just play the levels endlessly, and like we had the codes. There's like 10 stages per house that you choose. It's such a good game. Like it plays well to this day, and it's like an old Mega Drive real-time strategy game. Like if you want to know where it all started, go play Dune 2. It's so good.
I'm still waiting on Banjo and Kazooie coming out on the Switch.
On what? On Switch?
Banjo and Kazooie or something.
Oh, that would be interesting. I'd probably buy. I don't know because it's the same thing with the Mario games. I've got Banjo Kazooie and I've got Banjo Tooie. Why would I bother buying them again on the Switch? Like
they should release that Diddy Kong Racing.
Yeah.
Diddy Kong Racing, I'd buy again in a heartbeat. That's like I can never decide.
They should make like a trilogy, like Banjo Tooie. You know, they should make like a trilogy or something like that.
But it's a big argument, isn't it? It's like Nintendo. I mean, there's worse people than Nintendo for having a massive back catalogue of games that they don't basically rebrand or resell. I mean, Sega are the worst for that. I mean, Sega.
Banjo Kazooie is different though. That's owned by Rare, so that's Microsoft now.
That they could
that's not
re-release.
Nintendo's fault.
So.
And to be fair, on Banjo Kazooie and Tooie in the Rare Replay collection on Xbox One.
Yeah, they are.
So I think Rare, to be fair, are better than Nintendo. They kind of go, oh, here's our whole back catalogue, go for it. Whereas Nintendo kind of sit on things. As you say, Sega are awful. Like, the Shining games that I'm obsessed with barely ever get a mention or a look in. Phantasy Star, I mean, they did like the Sega Ages version of Phantasy Star 1, but there are 3 other games in the series they just ignore. Like, Shenmue's got some attention due to the Shenmue 3 Kickstarter, but then, like, Streets of Rage only just got interest. Like, Golden Axe is still dead and buried. So many like series they started off, like Burning Rangers, one and done. House of the Dead rarely gets a look in. Like, they're really bad for making an IP, a really successful IP, like Skies of Arcadia or something, and then they just do nothing with it. They just go, yeah, here we go, and then sit on it. Why? I don't know. Some companies don't like having money, do they?
That's it. I don't know if this Stadia is going to take off. Like,
no. I'm sure the 5 people who own Stadia accounts are just really reeling at the fact that they're the only 5, but I can't see it taking off. They're not established. If you know,
I was going to say
that's doing it, yeah.
It's quite a simple answer to that, and it's exactly what Wayne just said. They are not established as a brand. If Xbox did that, it'd be different.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Xbox and PlayStation are doing it through, you know, Game Pass and PlayStation Now. Yeah. They're the actual established, you know, people in the market space saying this is us doing it. Why was Google ever going to compete, or how was Google ever going to compete? I mean, don't get me wrong, they're a world leader in other ways, but in the game industry, they don't exist. And, you know, it's hard to establish yourself in the market. Xbox struggles massively. You know, PlayStation had such a fight to establish itself. I mean, don't get me wrong, it dominated the market, but it wasn't an easy battle to start with.
But again, I think the timing was right. If Sony were to do it now, it wouldn't work. I think the timing was right for Sony, and that's what it were about. It was striking gold.
Oh dear. Adam, you got some information about Mario 64.
I know. Paul, he did get it tonight, actually.
So how can they claim it's HD then if it's not full screen?
Because letterboxing something and putting it into 4:3 aspect ratio doesn't declude the fact that it's HD. So, like, I've got some older anime and things that have basically just been like rescanned and basically upgraded. They're letterbox, so it's not a full screen, but screen size isn't connected to resolution. They're separate things in the sense of you can have an HD version of something in 4:3 aspect ratio versus widescreen.
If it's not full screen on the actual handheld Switch, what happens if you transfer it onto the dock? Will it still like shrink?
It'll probably, I'd guess, not having it. I'd guess it would stay letterboxed, but you could use your TV to switch it to stretch. But the thing is, it'll stretch it. So what would be the point? Like, you may as well just play it in 4:3 like it was meant to be played. I guess it's a more true experience, if anything, and that's silver lining, I guess. It was never meant to be widescreen. So rather than stretch it and ruin it, they've left it as it was. But it does imply it's a bit of a lazy port. Because if they can be asked to just go on and expand in like the game engine, I mean, I don't know enough about programming, but enough games of old have been stretched out from 4:3 to widescreen and just remastered properly, like Panzer Dragoon. That was done fine from the Saturn to the Switch. Why could they not do a 64 game? So it implies there's maybe a bit of laziness in the port. But I have my 64 copy, so I'm just not buying it on the Switch. I'm just not bothered.
What's your thoughts on Resident Evil?
On what, sorry?
Resident Evil 8.
I'm going to bow out and take the dog out on that conversation. I'll leave you and Gaz to that one.
It's echoing a bit, Adam.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm not sure why. You were fine like 5 minutes ago.
God knows.
Yeah, Resident Evil 8. I don't know how to feel about that new trailer. I was a bit underwhelmed by it, to be honest. But overall, I'm quite excited for it. It does look quite good.
Yeah.
It does look good.
Can you see a Silent Hill definitely coming to the PS5 then?
Oh, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to be Hideo Kojima. I imagine it will be. But I think with rumours going round, it seems quite solid that it's going to happen. If they do remake the first game, that's me sold on the PS5 straight away. That'll be it. The money will be there. Because for me, that game is... I'm not saying it's underrated because people do love it and it's quite celebrated. But at the same time, I think there's so many people that has never played the original Silent Hill. And it's such a great game. So if they remake that game, I think it'll blow people's minds. Especially with today's graphics. I think it'd be incredible.
That PT brought out, that was something else, that, wasn't it?
It was scary, but for me now, that I'm not saying it's dated, but I don't think it's as impactful as it was a couple of years ago. I think for me, if they recreate Silent Hill, they should do it. I'd be up for an option of first person, but I think they should do it third person like they normally do with Silent Hill, but with modern graphics. But
I think the way games are going, it's all first person, though, isn't it?
We'll see. I'm excited to see what they're going to do, but the music in itself is pretty messed up, and it's a very scary game. I mean, there's not many games out there that are as scary as Silent Hill. I mean, it is a bit of a messed up game.
What about Resident Evil 4 then? And the remaking that from scratch?
I'm excited, obviously, because I'm a big fan of the game. But I'm a bit disappointed that it's not Code Veronica that they're doing first. But I have a feeling that if number 4's successful, which it will be, no doubt, that they'll do Code Veronica after that. But I didn't expect it, to be honest with you. I thought they'd do Code Veronica first.
Yeah. Just the way it is. It's, I've heard rumours Dino Crisis is in the talks as well.
Yeah, they've been talking for a number of years. I think fans are asking for it. But the thing with Dino Crisis, I know it's a celebrated game, but I don't think the demand's as high as a Resident Evil classic game. So, I mean, Code Veronica is probably... It is a popular game, but it's not as big as Resident Evil 4. So I can understand why they're remaking 4 first. But will the remake Dino Crisis? I think the demand has to be there, and it has to be bigger than just a couple of people on the internet saying they want it.
Right.
Well, we're still talking survival horror. Should I go take the dog out for another?
Oh, here we go. I'm sorry it's not RPGs, Wayne, but survival horror games are incredible games. You're missing out.
An interesting fact, and I'm full of the interesting facts. They normally put people to sleep, but you're a captive audience, so it's all right, isn't it? Survival horrors actually come from RPGs originally. So there's a game called like Sweet Life. So like Sweet is like a hotel suite. And it's like on the Famicom, so you get like an NES port of it, like made for yourself in English. And that was like, it's an RPG where they go into a mansion and they essentially have like very limited resources, and they can like permadeath in it. Okay. And then Resident Evil was originally in its like design stages a remake of that game. And then during the evolution of the game, they went, actually, we're going to change it into its own thing. So like, essentially, one's kind of given birth to the other, and that's how like the game came to be.
Yeah.
But I just don't like being scared, Gareth. I'm just a bit of a wimp. It's just not good for me. I had a bad experience, okay? I had a contact high from a survival horror game, and it just warped me, and I've never recovered. I've just been a wimp.
Try playing Resi 7 on VR, but that's awful.
I'd rather shit myself. I'll just do it ahead of time. I'll just sit here now and shit myself and go, there's the experience done. Great. I'm so glad I went through it.
I just couldn't do it, like. Couldn't do it.
It's difficult.
I mean, I still think back. First time I ever played Resident Evil, so I was like, probably about 5 or 6 or so at my uncle's. And he's like, oh, here, play this. I've been playing this. And he'd done that for so many games. And that's like how I discovered like Final Fantasy 7 and some other stuff. And I was like, oh, sure. And I remember I was like trapped in a room with like a big hearth or like a fireplace. And it's tank control. So I was a bit frustrated. Like, I don't know how to move. I'm a bit like panicked already. And this giant bloody snake like comes out and like attacks you. And I was like, and like just the sheer panic. And then I did it again. And it was just again. And I couldn't deal with it. It was like, no, I just want this out of the console. And then I just got a bit of like a bad habit from that where I couldn't deal with jump scares or anything like that. I remember once, this is how pathetic it got. I was playing Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, just walking along this link, and a skulltula dropped from like the ceiling, and I just screamed and dropped the controller and ran out of my room, and then kind of like walked back in like a minute later, like, okay, I can just carry on now. There we go. Pretend that didn't happen. It's been an embarrassing history. I'm just not great with them, I'll be honest.
Do you ever get scared by games, Gareth?
I mean, there's jump scares that scare me, but in general, no.
Both of you need to fess up. They shit you up, be honest. They're terrifying.
I mean, they do.
Bloody know they are.
I mean, there's parts of Resident Evil that really do shit me up, but it's jump scares. It's that kind of impactful, out of the blue kind of thing. It's not like I shit myself over the music or the tension like you do. It's the jump scares.
It's like Resi 7 when you come round the corner and he's here with the chainsaw, like right. Yeah. You know.
Why would I pay for that experience? I don't.
You do feel it, like.
It's weird because I'm not really bothered by like if I read a horror book, not bothered. If I watch something, not bothered. Try and play a horror game. It's just flashbacks to that snake in that room. I just no. Just been scarred. Touched inappropriately.
I've got the phone at the moment on the Arcade 1-Up, and it's just basically speaking to me and saying that you guys need to buy an Arcade 1-Up for your game room. Honestly, you're missing out. The artwork alone is stunning.
As a man who's not played his Arcade 1-Up in the last few weeks since he bought it, as he already admitted,
played it in the last
I don't think you're in a position.
I like to stare at it, not play it, but it looks stunning. It's great.
How pointless. Buy it and play it. That's the point.
I know, but for me, I couldn't justify paying that sort of money just for one game on the thing. Yeah.
It's not a lot of money, though.
It's 3 or 4.
Come on, 350 quid for an arcade cabinet. It might be a small one, but it's still an arcade cab.
Well, I don't know. Like, I plan to get one. I'm looking still at the Street Fighter 2 one and maybe get the Marvel vs. Capcom one if they ever port it over to the UK. But
that'd be awesome. Yeah.
I'm not in any rush. It is the honest answer, and it's like I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just because for me, the arcades never existed. I mean, I literally live smack bang in the middle of the country, so there's never been seaside arcades or anything. Like maybe now and then on holiday, but certainly there's never been an arcade in my home city. Like I've never been like able to visit them or anything. So I don't know. The arcade scene doesn't exist for me. That being said, Arcade Club did introduce me to the arcade scene and like going to Play Expo and things. So like. I love the idea of them, but like even just using an arcade stick versus a controller's far easier for me to play on just because it's what I'm used to. So I'd like one to play on, but I'm not in a rush for that reason too.
Yeah. Hyperspin Arcade is the way to go. I've never heard of it.
Well, I'm glad I'm not invested now. See, I need to look into my options. See, Gareth, you might have sold yourself down a river here.
You had a Hyperspin Arcade cab.
Is that a bit like I'm thinking like Candy Cabs and people like that? So it's like running like emulation software, and it's like a whole sort of MAME arcade cabinet essentially. It may not be running MAME, I'm guessing, but rather than just like a dedicated cab, is it more like a multi-purpose one? I guess is what I'm asking. Oh, here we go. Well, that's the answer I was looking for. See, I might look into one of these instead, like you sort of multi-purpose cab, but then I've got the space. I might just have one dedicated cab for the sake of it, because I do like Street Fighter a lot, to be honest. Light it more before my mic fell off.
Yeah.
There we go. But I do like Street Fighter a lot, enough that I would own a dedicated cabinet to play it, but I'd like to have a multi-purpose one. There's lots of games. I mean, probably not anybody's arcade game of choice at all. But I remember, like, one of the few arcade experiences I had as a kid. We used to go to, oh God, what was it? It may have been Haven, it may have been British Holidays. It was one of those tacky, horrible caravan sites. Literally every holiday I went on as a kid. And in Cleethorpes, there's like the arse end of nowhere. Oh, it does remain awesome. Anyway, yeah. So like all they had in that like arcade at that place was Gauntlet Legends and like Marvel vs. Capcom and a couple of others. But I remember going on holiday and I probably spent about 30 quid of like 20 pence pieces just playing Gauntlet Legends and just absolutely rinsing that game on holiday. Like you could put like a little password save into it. And I actually finished it just playing it on arcade. And there's like 4 worlds. You got to explore like 4 levels, I think, like 4 portals, then a final boss run afterwards. All of that in an arcade on holiday for a week. That was a good experience. So I'd like to be able to play that again, like on the arcade machine rather than like the 64. But I'm in no rush for these things.
Right, spot on.
What you guys, do you have any young memories of an arcade?
Not really, mate. I used to go to a shop called Games X, and I actually remember buying my first ever copy of Metal Gear from that shop. That was like I don't know, like it kind of died off. It died off when Electronics Boutique came to town.
Oh yeah.
And you know, it was a really good shop, and they always had like tournaments of like Pro Evo and stuff like that.
You did see that was like a really nice thing for like early childhood.
Yeah.
Did you have to stand on those? Get out. Sorry, bad thing just happened. Where was I? Yeah, like those sort of like community spirit shops. Because I remember like when I was little, we had a store called Another World, which then it ended up being part of like Forbidden Planet, but it was like one of the only ones like sold games. And they had like this absolutely amazing store. Like, anyone who went to Derby in like the 90s and early 2000s would have been there. And it's like downstairs was like dedicated games, and it literally had like every system available. They had like a massive import section, absolutely like phenomenal store. And then you went upstairs and you had like you sort of like geek collecting memorabilia and stuff. So it was like your Western comics, but also like your manga and anime and everything like that, figures and statues. And it was just like the perfect store if you had any kind of nerdy interests. And I think if that shop existed now with the current trends and how it's kind of gone, it'd be thriving. And even then, it did well, just not well enough to exist. It just sad.
Yeah. So what are you currently playing on You just playing PS4, or are you playing any retro at the minute then?
Oh, sorry, I was just reading 80 Sneaky Freak's comment. I've not played Cadillacs and Dinosaurs because I've heard, and I could be wrong to be fair, that it's best played on a dedicated cabinet. I don't know where I remember hearing that, and I could just be stupid and have misremembered it. But I've really wanted to play it because it does look really interesting. But like I said, I was hoping it was like a cabinet I'd see at Arcade Club one day and just be able to play it that way. But time will tell. At the minute, though, I am, as you say, Adam. Actually, no. I've been playing a bit of PS4, but I was playing the Final Fantasy VII Remake on NES for some reason. I don't know why I was doing that.
Good?
No. That's the honest answer.
Simple answer.
It's if you're absolutely obsessed with 7, it's a quirky and funny little experience and experiment, but is it a good game? No. Like, you're not going to play it and go, oh my God, this has changed my outlook. You're going to be like, okay, that was weird. And that's about all it is. It's kind of like, it's a loose demake. Like, they've not really tried to like bring the proper enemies or anything in. It's kind of like, on the surface, we've kind of done a few skin swaps, and that's kind of all they've done. It's funny, but it's funny. That's its point. It's not a serious, proper like thing.
Is it the full game on the cartridge?
I only put in about 5 hours and made it like a chunk of the way in. For what I've done, most of the game seems to be on there. But I mean, like I said, about 5 hours in. And 7, if you sprint through 7, you can be done in about, 25, 30 hours. So, I don't know.
Who manufactures that game? Like, who sells it?
I got a copy on Etsy, so no one manufactures the game. It's just one of those repos. Again, funny, like it's easy enough to get hold of a copy of it just to play that on your computer. Give it a rinse. It's worth having a little tinker with it and having a laugh. But is it a serious game to play? No. Well, you guys, what are you sort of rinsing at the minute?
Nothing, to be honest. I've been looking at trailers of Crash 4 there.
When does that drop? I've not been tracking it at all. And then all of a sudden there's like, oh my God, new character reveal. I was like, what?
I just don't like what they've done with Crash again. I just think, well, you've just sold a fuckload of games with the remake of the first 3 games and Crash Team Racing. Why wouldn't you continue that success and keep things the way they are? Why would you change things up? And
Gareth, you've got to think about media strategies now. Put it in reverse. What do you not think they probably wanted to make that game anyway? And they thought, how can we, prove that it's viable to our financial backer?
It's
put out the remake.
Though. That's the issue. It's okay doing things that are new if it adds something that's real, but it just feels cheap to me. It just seems like cheap moves.
I get the feeling, Gareth, you'll play it in a few weeks' time and you'll absolutely fall in love with it and then completely forgot you ever said anything bad about it. Don't even. You know that's likely. There's a good 80% chance that's the future.
No.
You renege on your ideas quite often.
I think we've got enough Crash Bandicoot. I think they've done enough with it. I don't think there's anything else you could do with Crash anymore. There's been that many games.
I think they're probably tapping into a market which is like me, who played 1, 2, 3 and then racing on PS1. Yeah. The moment they heard that, Naughty Dog had sold the rights on, I never played Crash Bash or a single game in the Crash series after those 4. I just moved on and ignored them.
Crash Bash, I don't have a clue what it's about. Like,
it's apparently like a party game and such. I literally heard it was like that and I went, I'm no interest. Bugger it. And I just didn't play it.
I know they do have it on them PS1 sticks though.
Oh, is it on one of your dongles?
They are good. I haven't been on them for a while. I haven't been on any of the mini systems for ages, but some cracking games on there.
Still waiting to grab a PS Classic or a Mega Drive Classic when they're dirt cheap and everyone wants rid of them.
So I've got the Mega Drive, PS1, NES.
I don't know.
They're all hacked. They've all got extra games on which.
If I didn't already have most of the games that I wanted for the systems, I'd have done it. Like they're 100% good purchases and like a good thing to like have and buy. But I've already spent the money and got the majority of the games that I wanted for those two things long before like they suggested the minis. So I was like, it's kind of just like pissing money into the wind, really. So I was like, I'm just going to wait till they're dirt cheap and that's it, really.
Or you could sell your collection for a shitload of money and buy them for fuck all.
Nah, I like the collection.
People say
like,
that, don't they? But...
There's something beautiful about just picking up the game that I've had for like 20 odd years and being like, this is the copy that I finished. Like, there are so many games I have that literally like, what is it on Mega Drive? It's called Soleil, but there's like, I think in America it's called like Crusader of Senti or something like that. Look it up. It's an amazing game anyway. It's kind of like a top-down Zelda clone, essentially. It even has like the aesthetic of it, but like you have like little animal spirits that essentially like help you out through the dungeons and whatnot.
Yeah.
And that has a save on it that's mine from when I was like 4. And it also has my dad's save on it too, which I'll say is crap because he was crap at games. But ignoring that, like I can't replace that with just, I've got it on Mega Drive Mini. Great for me. Like I've got the actual copy from when we were kids. And that's true for a lot of the games that I've still got. So I'm not going to shift them on.
I do reckon that Last of Us 2 needs the second playthrough, though.
Yeah, it's better on the second playthrough.
I reckon the same about the 7 remake, Gareth, but someone's too weak to be able to pull it off.
Well...
Head down in shame, Gareth.
Pull it off. Do you know what?
No, you didn't, Gareth.
£100 for the NHS playing that game.
Good for you. At the same time, have you heard what hard mode is?
Second playthrough.
You're not on your second playthrough. If you've not done it on hard mode, you've not done your second playthrough, Gareth. Head down in shame.
I did.
If that platinum trophy doesn't pop,
I didn't do it on hard doesn't mean I've not played the game.
It's so easy. It's genuinely so easy. It's embarrassing how easy the game is.
I can't play a game on hard for 16 hours. That's torture.
It was so easy though. Like it begins to get difficult towards the end of the game again, and then they give you an item, and it's the stupidest item in any game ever. It's like you start every battle with a limit break, and it auto fills your limit meter without having to take hits. You've played 7 Remake. Think how much that breaks the game for you. And they just give it you. They're like, hard mode, it's getting a bit difficult, isn't it? You've been struggling a little bit, we've noticed. Here, have this. And you're like, oh, thanks. And then you just kill everything again. You're just like, oh, yeah, sure. Okay, I guess I'll just go in with limit breaks all the time if I have to.
There'll be a third playthrough before December anyway.
Will there be an actual second playthrough, though?
It'll be my third playthrough.
Will there be a proper second playthrough?
Maybe.
I might have to do something like that. Do like a 24 hours playthrough or something.
Yeah, I mean, do you know what, right? It was a modest amount of money. It was about 140 quid for NHS, but
yeah,
at the end of the day, that's still £140. And it was a lot of fun, to be honest. A lot of people got involved. And friends and family loved it. They really, really tuned in and just enjoyed it. And I'd advise anyone who's got a channel to do something for charity at some point. And if you only make 50 quid, it's still 50 quid, isn't it? It all adds up.
That's it.
True. See, I can get away with this guilt-free because I donated. So now I feel fine to berate you for the fact that you didn't do hard mode on 7 Remake, so it's okay.
Well, I get 2 weeks off of Christmas, so maybe around about then I'll do something like.
Yeah, it'd be good.
Don't want to brag, Adam, but I get 2 weeks off at Christmas too. Only some of that's going to be wasted on marking. Oh God, there you go.
Nice.
I think what I'm going to do, to be really mean, is just about a day or two before breaking up for Christmas, I'm going to go, right, folks, so here's your homework assignment for the holidays. And I'm just going to give it to every year group and just see what happens. Yeah, I might do that. That'd be fun. I'm going to plan it now. Like a big Christmas project for them to do. Don't worry, it's only 2 hours. What?
This is something you don't want to purchase.
Marmite.
Fucking horrible. Like.
Wait, do you smell of Marmite?
It's fucking horrible.
Adam, what the hell's wrong with you? When you saw that on the shelf, why the hell did you buy it?
I don't know. I just thought it might give it a twangy smell there, but nah.
Does it actually smell like Marmite though?
You do smell like
You idiot! Why would you have bought that? What woman ever goes, Marmite? Oh, I'm wet. Let's go. No one. Not one of them.
To the lovers,
Who the bloody hell does that?
It's horrible, lads.
That's the kind of thing you buy someone as like a piss tape present, and that's it. There's no other purpose for that existing. Unless you really don't like someone and you want to spray them with it so that all the birds will avoid them. That's about it.
So, going back to the mini consoles, do you think they're dead and buried now?
No.
We're not going to see a 64 mini or...
I still want to get a PC Engine mini. So for me, the only mini I have is a Neo Geo Classic mini because I've no way in hell am I ever going to be able to afford a Neo Geo. No. They look amazing. The AES carts themselves, like that is an amazing system. Will I ever be able to afford one and play the games on it? No, just flat out no. But like, I imported the Japanese version because I preferred the roster of games on that over the international version they made. There's not a vast difference, but you can look at the difference in games and just see which ones you prefer to play. If you want it just for like Metal Slug and King of Fighters and Samurai Showdown, there's enough on both. But they've done like so many versions. There's even like a Samurai Showdown focused version, but like it's so good. Like I'll still lie in bed some nights and just play that for like 40 odd minutes. And I'll use that regularly. But I'd quite like to get a PC Engine one because, again, I'm not going to go down the rabbit's hole and buy a PC Engine and any of that kind of stuff. So that's the next one I'm looking to buy. Other than that, though, like I say, it's literally 4 systems that I've never owned and I don't plan to ever buy. That's the main reason I buy one. Oh, and I do really, really want, just because A, I'm sad, and B, it's kind of funny, I want the Game Gear Mini. Specifically, I want the yellow one because it has like 3 Shining Force games on it. So I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool for me, who has like every Shining game ever released. And also, it's a little novelty, isn't it? It's obviously a piss take item. I get what it is. I'm not going to be playing bloody Shining Force on a Game Gear screen the size of my thumbnail. But
the thing is, are you going to pay like 50 quid for it though?
I think they're like 30 quid when they come out to like import one over. I'll find one for easy enough on eBay. Like one Game Gear by itself, I'll sort it. I mean, I'll never play it. I've got all the games on Game Gear anyway, like the Japanese imports. I can easily play those on a Game Gear, but I don't know. It's a funny little piss take item, and I love my Shining Force stuff, so I'll buy it for that more than anything.
Jesus.
Hey, don't even. You've got PlayStation Minis with games that you're never going to play on. At least I'll actually have that for a reason because I love the Shining Force stuff.
Fair play.
Hey. If it's a Shining Force or Final Fantasy VII, I'll pretty much just buy it in a heartbeat. Anything else, I'll think about it. I mean, we've seen the Cloud Strife collection that I've got going. It's a little bit fanatical.
That's the thing. You've got like your own little rooms for your games set up and that. Like mine's in a fucking wardrobe.
You just got to come out of the closet, Adam. You've just got to admit who you are. It's okay.
That's it.
I'm proud of you, Adam. You can do this. This is a first strong step for you.
Thing is, when you're collecting 3 types of different things, it's not easy to show.
Expensive.
I've got like,
I know.
At the minute, I've got my anime collection, which I've managed to limit to like 1 shelf and like, well, 1 unit, and then like a few shelves for like some of the figures and whatnot. The games room, and then a bit of the living room again for the games. And then all my karate stuff all sits out in the garage. So like, I've already used up all the space that I've got, and even then, I had to cram that all into a storage locker before I bought the house. So I know it's a pain in the arse to have any kind of collections, let alone a couple of collections.
That's it.
Let alone 90 pairs of shoes, bloody hell.
Hey, Addy Sneaker Freak, have you seen his collection?
How many does Addy have?
I don't know. You ask him.
I'm waiting for the comment, come on.
Fucking hundreds, probably.
Yeah, just remind that I've only got 5 pairs of shoes and I feel like less of a man for it. And then I'm just going to look like a peasant now. Just like, yeah. In fact, I even can name all my shoes. I've got like a pair of boots, Converse, red, like George Taylor's. pair of Vans,
Converse.
my work shoes, and then a pair of like black Element shoes, and that's it. That's all my pairs of shoes that I own. Don't you shake your head at me, right? I do what I can. I get by.
Each to their own.
That's fair.
Like I said, you need to get yourself a pair of them, man.
They are nice.
I might get myself a pair of Adidas, to be fair. Like, they do look pretty damn good.
They're not the best ones, though, Wayne. These are something else. These are fucking lovely. What a suede on that one.
See, the thing is, if I wear shoes, I'll just wear them everywhere. So I always avoid suede because I can guarantee I'll damage them.
Get yourself some Crep Protect.
I thought it was crap.
Here we go.
Several hundred. No. See, that's commitment. Why are you not committed that hard? Come on, Adam. You're falling behind, lad.
I am,
You need to be able to grow. You need to be able to become a man up north.
A man up north.
Another 100 pairs of shoes, mate, and you'll be there. Sorted.
Aye. Just shame I live on my own and funds are not the best at the minute, like.
I know the feeling, mate. Well, I don't live on my own. I've got the housemate, haven't I? Although...
I think that's the reason I live on my own now.
To be honest, I think I'd prefer living on my own. It's like having a teenager live here. Genuinely, his room is like actually. I walk into it and it just fills me with dread and like anxiety. I don't know. I'm quite neat. Everything has to be like ordered and whatnot, and he's not orderly. Oh, he doesn't make his pots like spotless when he washes. You know what? I'm just revealing like how incredibly anal I am about things, but it does give me anxiety. Looking at him about the house. Do you know how many times he's emptied the kitchen bin since we've moved in? It's been about 2.5 months. How many times do we think, we'll take a straw poll now. Do you think he's taken that bin and emptied the black bag and then gone actually put it in the black bin outside?
Who, Sam?
Yeah.
Like
2.5 months. How many times do you think he's done it?
Twice.
Twice? Gaz? Any advance?
It should be 12 times at least.
It's been 0. It's been a flat 0.
Jesus Christ.
Oh,
No.
the boy is lazy.
That's serious shit.
He's a nice guy, but Jesus Christ, it really is like living with a teenager. It's like, I'm not here to be your dad. I'm sorry.
I'm sure when we had that session at yours, man, he was fucking her upstairs, like.
Adam, there's no need to be sure about it. He was. He said in the morning when you asked him, he was like, "Yeah, I was banging all night."
Fucking hell! No wonder the fucking ceiling was shaking, like. Fucking.
Although I had to go into his room to use polyfiller to like fill in some of the holes and whatnot from like the previous owners. So I was like doing like most of the rooms in the house, and I would like kneel on his bed to like get to the bit behind. And he'd only bought his bed when he moved in, and it's broke.
There we go. Trainers, games, and vinyl. What more do you need? That's what I collect. So.
You know what? Outside the trainers, and I will say I collect CD because I'm thinking that's going to come back at some point. But I always collected CD. Music, 100%. I do kind of get behind. Like, I do like just coming home, popping an album or two on, and just not giving a damn. I don't know. Over the shoes, I collect anime. But then, you know what? If you've got a few things going on in your life, like a couple of hobbies, have a sport to do on the side. Have your job, obviously. That's well-rounded. You know, you've got everything going for you pretty well then.
So, man, I think music's my first love. You know, couldn't go a day without listening to some sort of music, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I have to listen to a couple of albums, and like, I definitely find in the morning when it's cold and I have to warm up a CD so it can actually read in the stupid CD player in my car, I'm a lot more annoyed as a driver if I don't have an album on to like just kind of zone out to a bit.
So, man, I drive to work every day listening to the Stone Roses, you know what I mean?
I don't think I've ever listened to the radio. I can't think of anything worse than having people talk over the music I'm trying to listen to. And when I have to teach like the radio section in like media studies, it's the most cringeworthy topic because every 5 seconds I'm like, who even listens to radio? Oh yeah, people do. So radio is a thing, and it's just awkward. It's awkward throughout the whole experience. Basically, radio should be dead, and I just don't care for it.
See, I quite like radio. I mean, it's nice to have informative chats as well as a bit of music. It's nice to have a variation of different things.
Imagine if I could go elsewhere for my informative chat, and I could do that when I wanted to. And then when I drive, I just
having a long drive.
I don't like the hybrid.
You're driving, let's say, between 2 and 4 hours. It's nice to get that little break of news or informative chat whilst driving. It's quite nice.
You don't know enough about me, Gareth. I'm a man who won't even mix textures on his plate. I'm not going to be mixing music with chat on the radio. I'm not having it. It's a CD player, and that's the end of it. If I can put my Spotify playlist on, we'll do that.
We'll leave it at that then.
Unfair. I'm a harsh critic on myself as well as others. You can't really blame me for that.
Jesus. So what kind of vinyl do you collect? You collect gaming vinyl, Gareth, don't you? Which I'm not really.
I do collect vinyl in general. However, I've got a golden rule, which is I only buy a vinyl. So, for example, a record of a band, if I truly love that band, because it's a rabbit hole that if I fell down it, I'd be buying vinyl every day, and it'd become extremely expensive. So, I do collect vinyl, but I probably only buy between 5 and 10 records a year.
So really,
you
have to like the full album to justify buying the actual record.
Yeah. So if I love an album, I usually try and get it on vinyl. But again, it's a bit of a rabbit hole because I probably like about 100 different albums. So there's so much that I could buy from the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s. I mean, for example, System of a Down, they're a band from the early 2000s, and I love all their records on vinyl, but it just gets a bit expensive. But
have you at least got Mesmerised though?
Well,
you got Steal This Album?
Vinyl yet?
Have you got Steal This Album?
I own all their records, but not on vinyl. Not on vinyl.
At least those two you have to have.
Because if I were to buy all those records by just System of a Down, that'd be £100 at least. You know, it's a lot of money. So
see, that's my other reason to have never turned to vinyl. Like the price hike from what I've always bought since I was a kid to vinyl. I'm just like, well, why would I spend the extra money? Like, again, I've got CDs from when I was like 13. I mean, I've still got like the first CD I ever bought. I still have. I've not really felt the need to kind of transition over to vinyl or anything.
So I like Blink-182 or something.
My first album, in fact, it was £5 because it was on sale, and it was Linkin Park Hybrid Theory, which is an amazing album to have bought ever.
But I do like Linkin Park. It's not really the type of music I like, but when I was growing up, I did like them.
Like, it's good stuff, but like they just remix stuff. Well, for me, they remix stuff too often. Like the first 2 albums were golden. Third album was pretty good, and then and then obviously the sort of tragic sort of aftermath. But I'll be honest, first 2 albums were just pure hit after hit. There was like not a bad song on any of them. I'm trying to think. Like, there's a lot of albums that I can pick it up, and I'm quite nostalgic for just holding the album, being like, oh my god, I remember buying this. Like, I've got a Killswitch Engage album that I remember I bought it. And then my friend who's shown up on the channel a few times called Ben, he sat on the bloody thing, like shattered the case. And I was like, you absolute dipshit. But I've still kept it in the broken case because it's just that memory of the time. And literally, I bought it. I got it for my birthday. Opened it, put the CD in, put it down. And he just came straight in my room and just sat clean on it. I was like, you bastard. You absolute bastard. He's like, I'll replace it. It's been about 20 years and he's not replaced it. It's still the same broken copy. Actually, that's a reminder. I might text him and say, mate, you still owe me a copy of End of Heartache.
I was just going to say, is that the End of Heartache?
It was, yeah. Well, the self-titled album before it, still really good. And the one after that has, we'll go into music now that Adam, I don't think, cares for. Which, music's a very varied thing, to be fair.
That's it. I'm mostly into like a bit pop stuff, like your Primal Scream. You know, your Oasis, your Blur, Right,
yeah, kind of like your indie hits and things like that.
Happy Mondays, Pulp.
See, I don't know. Like, for me, it's always kind of like I don't really mind what I listen to too much. I don't really listen to pop music at all. I've never got on with that. But like most things I'll listen to, I'm happy to. But when I'm by myself and it's like me picking the music, I tend to just kind of gravitate more towards like the rock kind of stuff. It's just rock and metal tend to be where I go when I'm by myself. But if I'm at someone else's house and they're putting other music on, I never dislike it. I'm like, yeah, it's fair. It's just not what I picked for me. Although I have been listening to, have you heard Don Broco?
I've seen them.
I've been listening to their music so much lately because it's so catchy. I don't know why I can't seem to like kick the habit. But they did things like Come Out to LA. I'm sure you like every club I've ever been in, I swear, plays that song at some point during the night set. It's a guaranteed playlist song.
So what do you need? What do you need now?
Say again, sorry.
What do you need for your question now? Gareth.
You're echoing a bit, Adam, mate. It's hard to hear you, mate.
Did you say you're editing?
Yeah.
Did you say what do you need for your editing?
No, what do you need for your collection now, Gareth?
In all honesty, probably nothing. I'm pretty much there now. I think it's a box PS2, and that's pretty much it, I think. And an arcade stick for the Dreamcast. It's getting to the point now where it's actually hard to think about what I need because it's not very much. We're pretty much at the end. So, not a lot. How about you?
Yeah. I don't know why it's echoing.
Anything in mind? Or...
Yeah?
You got anything in mind for the game room or your collection? Or
not really, not at the minute. I'm kind of done with collecting retro. I've kind of got everything I really want.
Well, it's fair then. End of the day, if you've got to that point, you're happy. That's all that matters.
That's it. I'm just maybe a couple of pieces now and again, maybe later on down the line, but nothing major. There's a couple of GameCube games I'd like to add. You know, you're looking at like at least £100.
Yeah, oh, yeah, GameCube's ridiculous for price these days. Like you can't seem to get like cheap GameCube anywhere. It's not like the named titles. Like they're just high price, aren't they?
What's that Lord of the Rings you bought at the car booter?
Oh, Third Age. That was what? That was £4. Okay, that was dirt cheap. That's like a JRPG though. So when EA made that, I think it was just like Final Fantasy was massive, like 10 had come out and whatnot, and like absolutely sold millions, 10-2 had, and they were like, we want some of that JRPG money, as EA do. They see some that do well and go, we want some of that money. And it's actually a proper solid game. Like, if you like your sort of 40-hour JRPG, Third Age, it does it. Although, don't buy the Game Boy Advance version, because it's weirdly a completely different game. But any of the three on consoles, so PS2, GameCube, or Xbox, it's just a JRPG, and it follows the story of the trilogy, but it's always like characters in the background who awkwardly don't quite meet the main characters. And then at the end of the game, the final boss is like the Eye of Sauron. And the reason why the tower collapses in the game is that actually you beat the final boss and then that kills it rather than, you know, the events of the trilogy. But it's a proper good game, to be honest. I remember playing it when I was a kid and loving it.
I was the same with the Twin Towers on PS2.
Yeah,
they were good though. They were just like action hack and slashes, and they really worked really well.
They were decent.
I find it really weird that people call it the Twin Towers. Like so many people.
It's the Two Towers for a start.
Not the Two Towers.
Be fair to Tolkien, he died long before any kind of colossal events took place.
It was very close, wasn't it? That's the thing.
I do like Lord of the Rings, like definitely.
Yeah, I do.
Probably one of my favourite, series. Well, you call it a series, wouldn't you? Because there's.
Well, it's going to be very soon because Amazon are rebooting it, aren't they?
Are they?
Yeah.
Hmm.
They've spent something like £500 million on it. It's a fortune. and it's going to be a TV series like Game of Thrones. And it's
But here's the thing with Lord of the Rings, right? So famously, Tolkien was an Oxford professor, and he actually intended for the Lord of the Rings trilogy to be the beginning of a bigger series. Like that was like his intention. It was basically like the gateway into something real. So everyone's kind of hearkening on about like Lord of the Rings, like his biggest work, but it wasn't intended to be. It was just meant to be like literally almost like the first couple of books in the series. But he spent 9 years writing the Fellowship of the Ring alone. Like, no one can spend that amount of time on a book and expect to actually live long enough to write everything he intended to. The man just rambled on for too long. Well, unfair, because the books are phenomenal, but Oxford professors, you just can't shut the men up.
Jesus. So, any other crack, lads?
Sorry, I'm being really rude and sending a message. Give me a sec.
Should we end it now?
Yeah, let's call it a night.
Yeah. Probably,
Yeah, can do.
Probably make some food since I finish work.
Did we pick up on PS5 stuff?
PS5?
Yeah, like the showcase. Did we talk about that stuff?
No, we haven't. No, not really.
Do we want to pick up on that stuff and then close off after that?
Yeah, just whatever.
I don't mind either way.
Fire away, Paul.
I was hoping someone else would. Oh, well. So, showcase then. So, you guys have already sort of yammered on a bit about Resi 8. First thing they open the showcase with, Final Fantasy 16. That looks interesting. That looks absolutely amazing. That is a game that I'm buying the console for, if I'm entirely honest. It's like, it looks like a proper return to fantasy. No more like bollocks science fiction all the time, which hit and miss, to be honest. But the fantasy stuff I preferred. And it looks really, really gritty. I mean, it looks like properly insane. I mean, from what I can kind of understand from the trailer, it's almost like that boy called Joshua is like trying to save people, and then something goes wrong, and then he like catches fire, and he like becomes Ifrit or something, and like it's almost like him trying to like kill him and save him or something. I don't know. I'm just trying to understand the trailer, but like that has me intrigued because apparently the team who did Final Fantasy 14 are making it, so they've brought on like whole different staff. And I know a lot of people are, it looks sort of like Game of Thrones Witcher-esque, but it actually looks more like Final Fantasy 14 if you've played that. Like, you can see where the development staff have come from. But no, it looks really interesting. And, like, the gameplay, like, the little bits they've shown, it almost looks like Devil May Cry, in all honesty. Like, it looks so fast-paced. Like, I think there's, like, a fight where he's, like, fighting, like, a Marlboro, and he's literally, like, in the air, does, like, a couple of hits, and he, like, dodges in the air, and he's, like, slapping him again. And I'm like, I genuinely haven't played a game like that since, like, Devil May Cry, like, Bayonetta. Like, that looks amazing. I mean, what about the other games that started showing the showcase? What did everyone think?
I never watched the showcase. I was at work at the time, so I don't know what's happening.
Go on then, Gareth, run us through the showcase games, because I just caught the highlights on the games I was interested in.
Well, I mean, commenting on what a lot of people have said, that they're underwhelmed. But if you look at the history of, forget about Nintendo and what their launch games are, but if you look at Sony and Microsoft, it's a pretty strong lineup, really, when you think about the fact that the new generation is only going to start at the end of this year. And I think it is a strong lineup of good quality games. And I'm quite impressed.
I mean, I remember PS3 lineup was absolutely dog shit. It was like Virtua Fighter 5, Gundam Target Insight, which I love Gundam. It was a crap game. It was like, was it Virtua Tennis, or at least I think it was like a tennis game, and something else. I think it was maybe like a innocuous car game that no one cared about. It was dog shit. It was awful. It was like, who was buying a PS3 on day one for that stuff? Nobody. None of them were worth buying day one. Like, I can't think of anybody who goes on about any of those games being phenomenal. They're mostly like forgotten titles. And then PS4, I can't remember the launch games at all because I took so little interest. I mean, the first game of any merit that I remember anyone talking about was Infamous Second Son. and that was like about 2-3 months in or more. Like console launches are typically quite weak. Like you don't tend to get great games, but then, I mean, Spider-Man Miles Morales looks good. I'm getting that day one.
Yeah,
Sackboy, I might get. I liked Little Big Planet 1 and a lot, 2 less so. I got 3 with my PS4 and I just didn't care for it. I was like, this is just a bit crap. And that's kind of where Little Big Planet kind of died off anyway, so I wasn't the only person who thought that. The Vita and PSP versions were better. So I don't know. Like for a launch lineup, it looks kind of bog standard or a bit above average. But
yeah, I'd say it's fair to say it's above average at least. But I'm not sure what people expect. I mean, we're not going to get AAA titles that have been in development for 4 years because the technology and the actual console's not been around that long anyway. So I'm not sure what people expect, really.
I mean, are people already forgetting that in 2014 and 15, it was literally Port City. Like, if you owned a PS3, all you got were ports of PS3 games. The Last of Us remastered, Tomb Raider remastered. Like, name a game that was big on PS3. Oh, look, it's been remastered for PS4. Brilliant. I've never seen that before.
That's true.
Like, there's a whole raft of games, and they were like the big releases of a month. You were just there like, new this month, a remaster of this game again. And you're like, I get why they're doing it. It's fair enough, but God almighty, could they just lay off? GTA 5 got released again. Great.
To add weight to what you've said, I remember when The Last of Us remaster came out, and they actually called it the best game on the PS4. Even though it's a PS3 game.
You're just like, this is ridiculous.
It was port heaven, wasn't it?
I know, and especially if people actually played The Last of Us, they'd realise it's not even that good a game, Gareth.
Well, you know,
hang on.
Some people are just wrong, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, Gareth. Come on.
Some people are wrong.
It's not going to work.
Keep fighting, Gareth. Come on. You're on the reel.
I'm not going to defend the game anyway, because to be honest with you, I found the second game to be very controversial anyway. So it's a very controversial game.
It's divisive, isn't it? Some people love it, some people hate
divisive, yeah, to say the least.
And it's just not really settled anywhere very well.
Even after the second playthrough, I still don't really know how to feel about that game. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
A weird thing. I don't know. Like,
is that the response
after a playthrough?
I mean, I know the response they were going for was kind of something new, something not generic, but I'm not quite sure if I'm happy with how I respond to the game.
There's always going to be a gap between what they intend as like directors and producers versus how we all receive it. They might all go, "Oh, well, we thought you'd all think this." Yeah, but it was never going to like take real world context into play and what people actually think. Like, if people expect a certain payoff, you delivering anything but that, people aren't going to be happy. Just accept that audiences have their own minds. They're not all just going to lap up what you throw at them. And I think Naughty Dog need to accept that they can't dictate to audiences what enjoyment they're allowed out of a game. Audiences will decide for themselves, and too bad.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. To be honest, I just wanted to talk about Final Fantasy 16. I don't really care past that. Final Fantasy 16 looks amazing.
Before we go, what's your game of the year?
Mine? The best game I've played this year that came out this year is 7 Remake, because I can't think of anything else that compares to it. For me, it's like, it's a solid like 9.5 out of 10. It's not perfect, but it's so damn close to it. And the thing is, because I know we were talking about this before, and you were like, I think Last of Us 2 and 7 Remake shouldn't even be considered, but be realistic about it. 7 Remakes had a predominantly warm reception. It's not really had like any controversy around how people have looked at it. The general consensus is it's a good game or better. What more can you ask for?
I'm smirking right now because my game of the year is 7 Remake.
It's the right choice, Gareth. It's the right choice. But at the same time,
I can't do that because I haven't played it yet. So for me, the games I have played,
yeah.
Was Red Dead this year or last year?
I think it was last year, wasn't it? Yeah.
Maybe
last holiday season.
Been out a while.
I don't know what games actually come out this year.
Just go play 7 Remake, and then you can join us in Camp 7 Remake, mate. It's a good place to be.
I'll tell you what I do like. I do like that Days Gone, but I think that was last year. So.
If it's got even a slight horror theme, you know I'm not going to have played it. You can't keep playing on my heartstrings like this. You know I can't do this. I'm weak, and I accept that I'm weak. It's okay.
You don't like any horror game at all?
I'm just an absolute pathetic wuss. That's the reality of it. I can't deal with it.
Days Gone isn't a horror game, though.
I don't know. I mean, I played The Last of Us, and I guess that kind of like plays on a lot of the horror game stuff. But I mean, The Last of Us just kind of bored me, to be honest.
There is horror in it, for sure.
Yeah, like certainly like the way like the clickers kind of play those bits. That's very sort of horror-esque in terms of like gameplay. But I don't know. The Last of Us bored me, to be honest. There was no like jump scares or anything. It was just like, oh, here we go again. Oh, bit of narrative. Like I still think the best part of The Last of Us is there was that one chapter in the snow where it was just Ellie, like kind of standing on her own 2 feet. And then they absolutely ruined it by giving the mantle back to Joel. It's like, I don't really give a shit about Joel anymore. Can we just stop following him? And like I say, for me, that's where The Last of Us kind of fell down on itself.
Yeah.
But I did give it a playthrough. It had its due course. Just didn't enjoy it that much.
It was a fantastic looking game, but it did drag on too long.
I really like the opening chapter in The Last of Us as well. The whole like his daughter and like she's walking about the house and like that slow, creepy change into like what's happening, what are these things, and then all of a sudden like she just gets shot and she's killed. Like the sheer like terror factor of that. I thought that was an amazing bit of storytelling, but then everything that followed was like, oh, here we go. And I was like, oh god, really interesting chapter again with Ellie. Oh, here we go again. And that was for me summed up the whole of The Last of Us.
I'll tell you what, Adam, if you thought the Last of Us Part 2 dragged on, you don't want to play Death Stranding. Jesus.
You went on about how good that was when that came out. You were raving about it.
No, but
has hindsight changed your mind?
I still think it's a beautiful game, but it just drags on. It just drags on. But it is a good game.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than a game that outstays its welcome. Like some games need to be like a 10, 15 hour experience and done. Some games need to be longer. Yeah. When a game tries to be 40, 50 hours and it's really meant to be a 10-hour game, you just there like, just stop. Just let me out.
Yeah.
Let me out.
Free me.
Anyway, we'll call it a night, huh?
Yeah, I'm good at that point. Even the dog's gone to sleep, bless him.
Spot on. We'll have to get more. We'll have to get some more folk on next time, and maybe organise something. Maybe get some questions and stuff.
Jamais.
Yeah, definitely.
Jamais, James.
Jamais. He'll join us.
Aye,
I'm sure.
All right.
You just have to call him.
Take care, and I'll speak to you shortly. Yeah.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.